Here students, we were revising regarding zona fasciculata. They are called as glucocorticoids, life-saving hormones. They participate in carbohydrate metabolism. Cortisol is the chief glucocorticoid. Glycogenolysis causes, that means breakdown of glycogen. It causes lipolysis, breakdown of lipids. Proteolysis, breakdown of proteins. It also inhibits the cellular uptake and utilization of amino acids. It also controls the functions of cardiovascular system and also kidneys. It is act like an anti-inflammatory substance, suppressing the immune responses during transplantation to prevent the rejection of the transplanted organ. It also stimulates the synthesis of red blood cells. So, cortisol is called as a stress combat hormone in our body. Okay. So, students, this is all regarding the zona fasciculata. Now, let us learn regarding the next part of the adrenal cortex. So, students, the third part of the adrenal cortex is zona reticularis. Zona reticularis. See ma, zona reticularis, it produces sex corticoids. Sex corticoids, which are essential for the development of axial hair, facial hair and also pubic hair. Okay. Axial hair means hair on the body. Okay. Facial hair means hair on the face, and pubic hair means hair in the genital regions. So, this is regarding the sex corticoids. Zona reticularis produces sex corticoids, which causes the growth of axial hair, facial hair and pubic hair. Okay. So, students, here we have observed one thing, that the adrenal cortex, it produces different types of corticoids only. Okay. Sex corticoids, mineral corticoids, glucocorticoids. So, adrenal cortex is producing corticoids. Adrenal cortex is producing corticoids. Okay. So, students, this is regarding the adrenal cortex. Adrenal cortex is the outermost region of the adrenal gland. It is consisting of three regions: zona glomerulosa, zona fasciculata, zona reticularis. Zona glomerulosa producing mineral corticoids, zona fasciculata producing glucocorticoids, zona reticularis producing sex corticoids. Okay. Now, let us learn regarding the adrenal medulla. Okay. We are now going to learn regarding adrenal medulla. It produces only two hormones. It produces only two hormones. The first one is epinephrine. Okay. Epinephrine. Epinephrine hormone, it is also called as adrenaline, and the second hormone is norepinephrine, which is also called as noradrenaline. Okay. Epinephrine or adrenaline, norepinephrine or noradrenaline. So, this epinephrine, norepinephrine or adrenaline or noradrenaline, these two hormones, they are called as catecholamines. They are called catecholamines. And these hormones, they are produced during emergency situations or during stress situations. Okay. In emergency or during stress, these hormones are produced. Because they are produced in emergency or during stress, they are called as emergency hormones or fight or flight hormones. They are called emergency hormones or fight or flight hormones because they are produced in emergency situations. Emergency hormones produced during stress, so called as fight or flight hormones. Okay, let us now see the effects of these two hormones. These hormones, they cause increased alertness. They cause increased alertness. Okay, they cause piloerection. Piloerection is nothing but the standing of hair on the body. The standing of hair on the body, having goosebumps, is nothing but piloerection. Okay. Dilation of pupil. Dilation of pupil. Dilation of pupil means the eye part. Okay, in the center of the eye we will be having a region called pupil. It will spread. That is called dilation of pupil. Sweating. There will be a lot of sweating. Okay, there will be a lot of sweating. Increased alertness, piloerection, dilation of pupil, sweating. Okay, these are the things which happen generally during the time of these are the things which happen generally during the time of stress. It also causes dilation of bronchioles. It also causes dilation of bronchioles. They cause increase in the heart rate, increase in the rate of respiration. They cause increase in the strength of ventricular contraction. They cause increase in the strength of ventricular contraction. Okay. They cause even the breakdown of glycogen. Breakdown of glycogen is called glycolysis. They cause even gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis is nothing but from the non-carbohydrates also glucose is produced. Glucose formation from non-carbohydrates. Non-carbohydrates can be anything. It can be a lipid, it can be an amino acid, or it can be any other metabolic product. From the non-carbohydrates also glucose can be formed. That is called as gluconeogenesis. Okay. So, in that way these hormones, they cause breakdown of glycogen resulting in the formation of glucose. Gluconeogenesis also glucose is formed, but from non-carbohydrates like from lipids or proteins glucose is formed, that is gluconeogenesis. So, in that way by causing breakdown of glycogen and glycogenolysis, these hormones they cause increase in the levels of blood glucose. They cause increase in the levels of blood glucose. Okay. So, students, this is regarding the adrenal medulla. Adrenal medulla will produce two hormones called epinephrine or adrenaline, norepinephrine or noradrenaline. These two hormones, they are called as catecholamines. Because these hormones, they are produced in emergency or during stress, they are called as emergency hormones or fight or flight hormones. They will cause increased alertness, piloerection, dilation of pupil, sweating and dilation of bronchioles. They also cause increase in the heart rate, increase in the rate of respiration, increase in the strength of ventricular contraction. They promote breakdown of glycogen to form glucose, that is glycolysis. They also cause gluconeogenesis, that is formation of glucose from non-carbohydrates like proteins or lipids. In that way, due to glycolysis and gluconeogenesis, there will be increase in the levels of blood glucose in the body. In that way, these hormones, these two hormones, adrenaline, noradrenaline, they will prepare the body to face the stress. Okay. So, this is regarding adrenal medulla. Okay, ma'am. Now, let us learn two more concepts related to the adrenal gland. Okay. So students, now we are going to learn regarding the disorders during hyposecretion of glucocorticoids. Hyposecretion of glucocorticoids. Okay, that means underactivity of glucocorticoids will result in a disorder called as Addison's disease. Okay, it will result in a disease called Addison's disease. During Addison's disease, because of hyposecretion of glucocorticoids, that means reduced secretion of glucocorticoids, there will be loss of weight, fatigue, muscular weakness, okay, there will be loss of weight, fatigue and muscular weakness during Addison's disease. Okay, then if it is hypersecretion of glucocorticoids, that means during oversecretion of glucocorticoids, it will result in Cushing's syndrome. Cushing's syndrome, in the sense during Cushing's syndrome, because of hypersecretion of glucocorticoids, there will be weight gain, there will be a lot of weight gain. Okay, breakdown of glycogen, lipids and proteins will be occurring in the body, and also there will be redistribution of body fat, okay, there will be redistribution of body fat. Resulting in this redistribution of body fat, it will result in the moon face, buffalo hump. Buffalo hump means the back, it also on the back also there will be a lot of deposition of fat in the body, on the back of the body, buffalo hump. Pendulous abdomen, that means in the abdomen also there will be a lot of fat deposition, making the abdomen look like a pendulum. Spindly arms, that means in the arms also fat will be getting deposited, resulting in the formation of spindles or tires in the arms. Okay, this is regarding hypersecretion of glucocorticoids resulting in Cushing syndrome. So students, hyposecretion, that means decreased secretion of glucocorticoids causes Addison's disease, during which there is loss of weight, fatigue and muscular weakness. Hypersecretion of glucocorticoids, oversecretion of glucocorticoids will result in Cushing syndrome, which results in weight gain, breakdown of glycogen, lipids and proteins in the body, and it causes redistribution of body fats, resulting in moon-like face, buffalo hump, pendulous abdomen and spindly arms. So students, this is regarding the disorders of the adrenal glands, disorders caused due to adrenal glands. So with this we finished to learn regarding the adrenal glands completely. Let us now learn regarding the next gland. The next gland we are having is pancreas. Pancreas is a composite gland. Pancreas is a composite gland. That means it is a mixed gland. It's a mixed gland. It has both exocrine part and endocrine part. Exocrine part and also it has endocrine part. Exocrine part of the pancreas is called as acini. They produce enzymes. Okay, exocrine part of the pancreas is called acini. It produces enzymes. Endocrine part of the pancreas, it constitutes only 1 to 2% of the total pancreas. Okay, endocrine part of the pancreas constitutes only 1 to 2% of the pancreas. Okay, and it includes 1 to 2 million islets of Langerhans. It includes 1 to 2 million islets of Langerhans. These islets of Langerhans is the endocrine part of the pancreas. Endocrine part of the pancreas is islets of Langerhans, and this islets of Langerhans contains two types of cells, two main types of cells, alpha cells, beta cells. Okay, islets of Langerhans contains two main types of cells, alpha cells, beta cells. So, let us see what each of them produces. Alpha cells produce the hormone called as glucagon. It produces hormone called glucagon. It is produced in hypoglycemia conditions. It is produced during hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia in the sense reduced glucose levels in the body. Hypoglycemia in the sense reduced glucose levels in the blood is hypoglycemia. Okay. So, alpha cells produce glucagon. It is produced in hypoglycemia, which means reduced glucose levels in the blood. During this time, glucagon is produced. Glucagon mainly acts on the hepatocytes. It mainly acts on hepatocytes. Hepatocytes are nothing but the liver cells. Hepatocytes are nothing but liver cells. Glucagon mainly acts on the hepatocytes. It causes glycogenolysis. That means breakdown of glycogen. Glycogenolysis, breakdown of glycogen. And it also causes gluconeogenesis. That means production of glucose from the non-carbohydrates. Okay. It causes breakdown of glycogen, glycogenolysis, gluconeogenesis. That means conversion of non-carbohydrates into glucose. Okay. So, in both the ways it will cause the production of glucose. In both the ways it will cause the production of glucose in the body. Okay. When glucose is produced in the body, it will cause increase in the glucose levels in the body. It will cause increase in the glucose levels in the body. It will act on the hepatocytes, causing glycogenolysis or gluconeogenesis, produce glucose, finally causing increase in the glucose levels in the body. That is why this glucagon, because it is causing increase in the glucose levels in the body, glucagon is called as hyperglycemic hormone. It is also called hyperglycemic hormone. It causes increase in glucose levels in the body. It also causes decrease in cellular uptake and utilization of glucose. Okay. It decreases cellular uptake and utilization of glucose. It decreases cellular uptake and utilization of glucose. Okay. This is regarding the alpha cells. Once we will revise everything regarding whatever we have discussed here, then we will learn more. Pancreas, we are learning now, it is a composite gland. That means it is a mixed gland. It has both endocrine and exocrine parts. Exocrine part of the pancreas is called as acini. It produces hormones. Endocrine part of the pancreas, exocrine part produces enzymes, Exocrine part is called acini, produces enzymes. Endocrine part of the pancreas constitutes only 1 to 2% of the total pancreas. It contains nearly 1 to 2 million islets of Langerhans. These islets of Langerhans contain two main types of cells, alpha cells, beta cells. Alpha cells produce glucagon during hypoglycemia. That means whenever there is reduced glucose levels in the blood, hypoglycemia, at that time glucagon is produced. It acts on the hepatocyte cells and it causes glycogenolysis, breakdown of glycogen, gluconeogenesis, conversion of non-carbohydrates into glucose. In both ways glucose is produced, causing increase in the levels of glucose in the blood. and it is also causing decrease in the cellular uptake and utilization of glucose. So, overall effect of glucagon is to increase the glucose levels in the blood. That is why this hormone is called hyperglycemic hormone. That means it is the hormone which causes increased levels of glucose in the blood. Okay. So, this is regarding alpha cells. Let us learn now regarding the beta cells. So, now we have beta cells. Beta cells produce insulin hormone. Okay, beta cells produce insulin hormone. Both insulin and glucagon, they are both peptide hormones only. They are both peptide hormones only. Insulin and glucagon, both of them are peptide hormones only. So, beta cells also produce insulin, which is a peptide hormone. And this hormone is produced during hyperglycemia. In response to hyperglycemia. That means hyper, increased, glycemia means glucose levels in the blood. In conditions of increased levels of glucose in the blood, this hormone insulin is produced. It mainly acts on hepatocyte cells. Hepatocytes, which are the cells of the liver, plus adipose cells, which are the cells of the adipose tissue. Adipocyte cells. Adipocytes, which are the cells of the adipose tissue. Okay, it acts on hepatocytes and adipocyte cells, and it causes the uptake of glucose. It causes increase in the uptake of glucose by the cells, and also causes increase in the utilization of glucose by the cells. Okay, it causes increase in the uptake of glucose by the cells, increase in the utilization of glucose by the cells, increase in the uptake and utilization of glucose by the cells. And in the hepatocytes and adipocyte cells, it causes the increased uptake of glucose into hepatocytes and adipocytes, and deposition of glucose in them, So, these two cells, they will uptake glucose and they will store glucose in them. Okay, this is how this insulin is acting. Insulin is a peptide hormone. It is produced during hyperglycemia. It acts on hepatocytes and adipocyte cells of the adipose tissue. Hepatocytes are liver cells. Adipocytes are cells of adipose tissue. It causes increase in uptake of glucose and utilization of glucose by the cells. It causes increased uptake of glucose into the hepatocytes and adipocyte cells and deposition of glucose in them. That means these two types of cells, they will store glucose in them. Okay. A hepatocyte cells, they will store glucose in the form of glycogen, and adipocyte cells store glucose in the form of fats. In that way, this insulin hormone is causing increased uptake of glucose by the cells, and it is causing hypoglycemia. It is causing hypoglycemia. That means it is reducing the levels of glucose in the blood. Okay, it finally reduces levels of glucose in the blood. It is causing hypoglycemia. Okay. Sima, this is regarding insulin. Peptide hormone produced during hyperglycemia, acts on hepatocytes and adipocytes, increases uptake and utilization of glucose by the cells, causes increase in the uptake of glucose and deposition of glucose in the hepatocytes as glycogen, in the adipocytes as fats. In that way, it causes hypoglycemia. That means it reduces the levels of glucose in the blood. But students, due to the lack of insulin hormone or due to the lack of receptors for insulin hormone, prolonged hyperglycemia can occur. Prolonged hyperglycemia will occur due to lack of insulin hormone or due to lack of receptors for insulin hormone. At that conditions, prolonged hyperglycemia will occur. Prolonged hyperglycemia, it will result in a disorder called as diabetes mellitus. Diabetes mellitus. During diabetes mellitus, there will be loss of glucose through urine. There will be loss of glucose through urine, and there will be also formation of ketone bodies. Formation of ketone bodies in the body. Formation of ketone bodies will occur. These ketone bodies, they are very harmful to the body. Okay. So, this is regarding prolonged hyperglycemia resulting in diabetes mellitus, during which there is loss of glucose through urine and also formation of ketone bodies in the body. Ketone bodies are very harmful to us. Okay. So, students, with this we finished to learn even regarding the pancreas. Pancreas is a composite gland, exocrine part and endocrine part. Endocrine part is islets of Langerhans. Okay. So, this is consisting of two main type of cells, alpha cells, beta cells. Alpha cells glucagon, beta cells insulin. Okay. And these two hormones, they will work in a coordinated manner, because alpha cells producing glucagon is causing increase in the levels of glucose in the body. Beta cells insulin is causing decrease in the levels of glucose in the body. These two hormones will work together in order to maintain the glucose levels in our body. Let us now learn regarding some other gland. Students, the next type of gland that we are going to learn is testis. Okay, testis, it is it's a main male sex organ. It is the primary sex organ. It is the primary male sex organs. Okay, it performs a dual function. It performs dual function. It produces sperms. Because it is a main male sex organ, it produces sperms, and it also produces hormones. So, it also has endocrine functions. Okay. This testis, it contains seminiferous tubules and interstitial tissue, seminiferous tubules and interstitial tissue. This interstitial tissue is also called as interstitial cells of Leydig or Leydig cells simply, interstitial cells of Leydig or simply Leydig cells. Okay. So, in seminiferous tubules and interstitial tissue or interstitial cells of Leydig are present in the testis. These seminiferous tubules will be producing the sperms, they will produce the sperms, whereas our interstitial tissue or interstitial cells of Leydig, they will produce androgens. Okay, they will produce androgens. Androgens are nothing but the male sex hormones. Androgens are the male sex hormones. Androgens are the male sex hormones, and the main androgen is testosterone. It is the main androgen. Testosterone, it is the main androgen. Okay. So, let us now learn regarding the functions of this testosterone, the main androgen. It causes the growth, development and functioning of the accessory reproductive organs, like seminal vesicle, prostate gland, and also it causes the growth, development and functioning of the ducts of the reproductive tract like epididymis, seminiferous tubules, vasa deferentia, urethra. Okay. So, it causes even the growth and development and functioning of different ducts like epididymis, seminiferous tubules, vasa deferentia, urethra also. Okay. It causes protein anabolism in the body. It will stimulate protein and anabolism in the body. That means synthesis of proteins in the body. It stimulates it is responsible for the male sexual behavior. It is responsible for male sexual behavior. It causes the development of axial hair, facial hair and pubic hair. It causes even the male aggressiveness. It is also responsible for male aggressiveness. Low pitch voice of the males. Low pitch voice of the males. Okay. These are the different effects shown by testosterone. Students, this is regarding testis. So, testis is the primary male sex organ. Okay. It performs dual function. It produces sperms and it also has endocrine functions. The testis consists of seminiferous tubules which produce the sperms, interstitial tissue or interstitial cells of Leydig or Leydig cells. These produce androgens which are the male sex hormones. Testosterone is the chief androgen. Androgens cause growth and development and functioning of accessory reproductive organs like seminiferous tubules and prostate gland, and also cause the growth, development and functioning of different ducts in the reproductive system of males like epididymis, seminiferous tubules, vasa deferentia and urethra. It causes protein anabolism responsible for male sexual behavior, development of axial hair, facial hair and pubic hair, responsible for male aggressiveness and low pitched voice, and finally it also stimulates spermatogenesis. It also stimulates spermatogenesis. So, students, this is all regarding the testis. Then we need to learn regarding ovaries. Sima, ovaries, they are the main female sex organs which are produced inside the abdomen. They are produced inside the abdomen. Whereas testes, no, they are produced outside the abdomen in the scrotal sacs. Testes are produced outside the abdomen in scrotal sacs. In the scrotal sacs outside the abdomen, testes will be present. Whereas the ovaries which are present inside the abdomen, they are one pair of ovaries. Okay, there are one pair of ovaries. And these ovaries, they also have two functions. They also have dual functioning. They produce the ova. Okay, one ovum is produced during every menstrual cycle from the ovaries. Only one ovum is produced during one menstrual cycle from the ovaries. Okay, so they produce ova, and they also have endocrine function. They produce hormones also. They will produce hormones also. They produce two hormones. They are estrogens and progesterone. They produce estrogen and progesterone. These are the two hormones. Ovaries are the female sex organs present in the abdomen, one pair, dual functioning, producing ovum, and endocrine functioning is to produce estrogen and progesterone. So, each ovary contains ovarian follicles and stromal tissue. Ovarian follicles and stromal tissue. Each ovary contains ovarian follicles and stromal tissue. These ovarian follicles produce estrogens. These ovarian follicles produce estrogens, and these estrogens, they are responsible for the growth and development of ovarian follicles. Growth and development of ovarian follicles. Ovarian follicles itself are producing estrogens, and the same estrogens produced by ovarian follicles will show growth and development of ovarian follicles. And these estrogens, they cause the female sexual behavior. They are responsible for the female sexual behavior. Estrogens cause the development and also appearance of female secondary sexual characters. Okay, they are responsible for the development and appearance of female secondary sexual characters like the high pitch voice in the females, and also the development of mammary glands, Okay, this is about estrogens. Ovarian follicles produce estrogens which cause growth and development of ovarian follicles. It is responsible for female sexual behavior, causes the development and appearance of female secondary sexual characters like high pitched voice, development of mammary glands. Now comes progesterone. Progesterone, Sima, after these ovarian follicles, they release the ovum. Inside these ovarian follicles only the ovum will be developing. After these ovarian follicles, they release the ovum, then it forms a yellow colored body called as corpus luteum. Ruptured ovarian follicles, that means those ovarian follicles which have released their ovum, they will form a yellow colored body called as corpus luteum. And this corpus luteum is important for the maintenance of pregnancy, because from corpus luteum progesterone is produced. This progesterone produced by the corpus luteum, it is important for maintenance of pregnancy. It is important for maintenance of pregnancy. It also causes the development of the mammary glands. To support lactation. Okay. So, this is a corpus luteum. Corpus luteum is actually formed from the ruptured ovarian follicle. It's a yellow body producing progesterone, which is important to maintain the pregnancy and also development of mammary glands to support lactation. This is regarding ovaries. Ovaries are the female sex organs present in the abdomen, one pair having dual function, that is produce ova and endocrine function. They produce two hormones, estrogen and progesterone. They contain ovarian follicles and stromal tissue. Ovarian follicles produce estrogens. They cause growth and development of ovarian follicles, development of female sexual behavior, development and appearance of female secondary sexual characters like high pitch voice and development of mammary glands. Then this ruptured ovarian follicles, that means those ovarian follicles which have released their ovum, they develop into yellow body called corpus luteum. Corpus luteum produces progesterone, which is important to maintain pregnancy and also development of mammary glands to support the future lactation. So students, this is regarding our ovaries. With this we finished to learn regarding the endocrine glands completely. We learnt regarding hypothalamus, pituitary gland, we have learnt regarding pineal gland, we learnt regarding thyroid, parathyroid, thymus, we learnt regarding today regarding adrenal gland, we learnt regarding pancreas, ovaries and testes. With that we finished to learn regarding the endocrine glands completely, and we need one more class to finish this chapter, students. In the next class we will see the non-endocrine glands producing hormones and the mechanism of hormonal action we will see in the next class. So thank you all for joining the class today, students. I will meet you all in the next class with the same chapter. Thank you all.